Welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive confrontations on Capitol Hill. Senator Josh Hawley went scorched earth, targeting a prominent virologist. If you've wondered how far institutions went to suppress the lab leak theory, keep watching. Hawley's opening statement was calm, focused, and devastating. He said the government withheld information from the American people during COVID. Hawley pointed to a law he wrote requiring declassification of COVID origin intelligence. Multiple agencies, including the Department of Energy and FBI, concluded a lab leak was likely. But while those findings were secret, the idea was publicly ridiculed.
Agree with, or am I making a mistake?
I completely agree with you, Senator Romney. That's well stated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Romney. Senator Hawley, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding this hearing. Thanks for the witnesses for being here. You know, I have to say, I think one of the worst things that happened in the COVID era is that our own government deliberately withheld information from us, from the American people, tried to propagandize the American people, used the arms and agencies of government to actively censor Americans who dared to question the propaganda, and they're still lying to us. And I'll give you the proof of it. I wrote the bill that requires the administration to declassify the intelligence assessments and reports related to the origins of COVID-19. Now listen, I just want to say, everybody sitting on this dais has read these. I've read them. I guarantee you my colleagues have read them. I know what the Energy Department concluded. I know what the FBI concluded. I knew what they concluded years ago because we could read them when people like Dr. Fauci were out there saying the lab leak hypothesis was totally discredited and nonsense. You could go read the intelligence and know our own government thought otherwise.
Then came the bombshell. Senator Hawley confronted Dr. Robert Garry about the proximal origins paper, the one used to discredit the lab leak theory. Hawley revealed Garry's private email. "I really can't think of a plausible natural scenario." So what changed? Did the truth just come to you overnight? Garry stumbled. "Do you regret that people lost jobs or got banned for asking the same question?"
You know, you had this whole cabal led by Dr. Fauci and others who, as soon as the lab leak hypothesis that we now know is a lot more than a hypothesis, as soon as it's mentioned, what did Fauci do? We know because this has all been litigated in a federal district court. In fact, in multiple federal courts. I've got the finding of fact from the court right here. They lay it all out. Fauci goes to the WHO, asks the WHO to intervene to discredit the lab leak. He then speaks against it multiple times from the podium at the White House. He then does countless media interviews. I mean, my gosh, what show has he not been on? He's still on TV, spewing this misinformation, as he would call it. But he did these multiple interviews where he says, no way, no how, lab leak not possible at all. And then he coordinates, and the whole federal government coordinates with the biggest tech companies in the world to suppress, and media companies, to suppress any American who would ask questions about it. It's absolutely disgraceful. Dr. Garry, you were part of this propaganda effort. I mean, you were right at the center of it. It's astounding. You wrote this piece, this Nature magazine piece.
If you believe truth matters, hit subscribe now. Garry defended himself, saying he was just publishing scientific opinions and had no control over how others used the paper. He insisted the retracted research didn't reflect on him personally, but Senator Hawley wasn't having it. "You were on the paper," Hawley said coldly. "People lost jobs, reputations. It wasn't just about Garry, it was about accountability."
Or whatever it was that we've heard testimony here today. Nature Medicine, March 17th, 2020. We've heard testimony here today from other scientists on the panel that it's basically an opinion piece. You said at the time that definitively SARS-CoV-2 is not a laboratory construct, is not a laboratory construct. Of course, our own government, key agencies have concluded otherwise. And on the basis of this, Dr. Fauci and others cited this piece and went out to use it to mobilize our own government to censor people who ask questions about it. People lost their jobs because of this. They lost their jobs, they lost their standing, they were kicked off Facebook, they were kicked off Twitter. Do you regret being part of this effort, this propaganda effort?
Sir, I was simply just writing a paper about our scientific opinions about where this virus came from.
Oh, no, you weren't. You said in an email that we now have that you tried to withhold, but that we have, February 2nd, 2020, you wrote, "I really can't think of a plausible natural scenario where you can get from the bat virus, or one very similar to it, to this. I'm quoting you, "I just can't figure out how this gets accomplished in nature. It's stunning. Of course, in the lab, it would be easy.
Well, of course. And I actually figured it out. That's the whole point of that.
You figured it out? You wrote this while you were writing your propaganda piece, while you were writing
I
your
wrote
paper.
that somewhere around February 2nd.
It was exactly February 2nd, and you've testified that you were writing your proximal origin paper in early February. So you're saying that, what did it come to you overnight?
There was new data that
Like
came in.
a revelation from God.
No. It's
Overnight
simply the
you
scientific
concluded,
method.
I got it, I figured it out, and now I can definitively rule out. It's amazing.
Then came the final blow. Hawley said, "I'm not a scientist, but it is wrong to censor and lie to the American public. It is wrong to withhold critical information."
Scientific paper of yours was retracted from the Journal of Medical Virology.
Yeah.
Is this normal?
Those papers didn't come from my lab, but I'm certainly helping.
They're not yours?
They're not mine. No.
Oh, so your
I'm
your
on the
work is,
paper, but they did not come
the work
from my lab.
that God gave you in a flash of inspiration remains absolutely unimpeachable, unimpeached.
We stand by that.
Do you stand by your assertion and your Nature piece that SARS-CoV-2 is not a laboratory construct? Could not be?
We do, and that's exactly the same
Couldn't possibly be.
conclusion that the intelligence community came to.
Oh, no,
Sure,
that is a lie. Let's stop right there.
Well, it's
That
right here. I have it
is
right here.
a lie. I have read the intelligence community did not come to that conclusion. Multiple intelligence community agents and components have concluded it was likely a lab leak. And they concluded that at the same time that you and your people were propagandizing the American public and using the channels and influence of the American government to censor ordinary Americans.
Yeah.
That is the truth. I'm not going to sit here and allow you to lie any further. Dr. Garry, you
lying,
have
sir.
disgracefully participated in shameful propaganda that has been one of the worst chapters in this country's history, with the government propagandizing its own people. And you know what? You may be right about I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but what I do know is, it is wrong. It is wrong.
You should have done better, sir. Doctors, scientists, citizens, silenced, punished, erased. This hearing wasn't just political theater, it was a reckoning. It showed what happens when government power, media manipulation, and corporate censorship collide. Science isn't science if it's censored. And truth doesn't fear questions. Subscribe to stay informed, stay bold, and stay free. Thanks for watching.